Hi everyone, welcome to my third review in the top-down planner series. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, I will link my other videos below so you can refer back to those. Today though is going to be all about this inner guide, life coach in a book, and this is the 90-day goals planner version. They do have two other versions out there, which I will get to in just a moment. This is the one obviously that I chose, namely because it's undated, and also this is the only one that's the daily version. The other two are only weekly 2-page spreads. They have the semi-annual version is $19.95, and so obviously that's going to run you about $40, and then the yearly option is $25.95, and they are both 8 inches by 9 inches, which is a little bit bigger than this one. This one's only 6 inches by 9 inches, and then this one it retails for $26.95, but on Amazon I was able to get it for $21.95. So if you times that by 4, which is how many you'll need, it's $87.80 a year. So that is going to be a more expensive option for a planner. This company, which is Inner Guide, was created in 2013 by Linda D'Amico. She has an art and design background, and Jacques Lamour, who is a certified life coach, which I do really like those two combinations to have in the design of this planner. They wanted to design a product that was both interactive as well as international. They wanted reflection, critical thinking, and time management all in one planner. Their motto is to plan your life instead of plan your day. So there is going to be a lot of self-evaluation and self-awareness types of things going on, which is what makes it a top-down. So there's awareness, empowerment, and fulfillment all in this planner. There is no app on this because their thinking behind that is they just really want you to slow down and write out everything. There is a lot of science behind that, so I do understand that. There's just not a ton of information out there about this particular planner. I don't know if people aren't using it or they just are not talking about it, but I had probably the hardest time finding information about this particular planner. Of course, on Amazon, which is where I bought mine, there are some book reviews on there. And the only other thing I was able to find are 4 YouTube videos, and I had to search really, really hard for those. 3 of them were reviewing the actual planner, which is that purple cover, the 6-month and the year version with the weekly spread. And then I was only able to find one other review about this particular one, which is the 90-day goal planner. So that's another reason why I am doing this video here. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. Like I mentioned, the other two, as far as I could tell, only come with a purple cover. This one right here, the 90-day goal planner, does come with 4 different color choices. Blue, obviously, green, red, and orange. And I guess the only surprise here is that I chose blue over red. And their thinking behind this is that you could either use one color for each quarter, you could have a different color for each different goal or project that you're working on, or if you have a group, whether it's your family or at work, then each person could have their own color and use that for the entire year. So I really do like their logic behind the different colors. I do think, however, that it would be beneficial for them to add just a few more. So right here, as you can see, it's got just a basic cardstock cover. It is very, very cheap and not thick at all. So you're definitely going to have problems with the cover, especially if you're going to have this be portable, putting it in and out of a bag every day, because it is a daily planner. So it is going to be a problem. It's going to get bent, torn, and frayed, all that good stuff. Actually, bad stuff. This coil on here is really, really cheap. As you can see, I can bend this all the way down and all the way up. So this is a plastic coil, and the reason I'm going to pull out my Erin Condren is because this is the best in the business. And so as you can see, the difference between the two when I just put my finger down and I'm applying the same exact pressure on that. So that is really, really bad. I think this is probably the cheapest spiral that you can get at any office supply, just probably a few dollars. So this Erin Condren is metal, and it's probably the thickest gauge that you can get. So that's why it's fantastic. This plastic right here, I'm telling you, is going to break at some point, probably sooner than later, and that's when you're going to have problems with it snagging your pages and ripping them. So really, really poor quality. I would say this is the worst quality I have ever seen in a planner out there, and maybe their thinking is because you're only using it for 90 days that you don't really need that great, but I disagree with that. So this can be definitely improved. So here obviously is just going to be their title page. And then first page right here is, they do have a lot of quotes throughout this planner, which I really, really like. And I have to say, I really like the font on this. If you are a visual person like I am, there is white space here, so you could put stickers, washi, doodle, art, whatever you do. I think this would be a great space for that. Then right here, I think this is one of the greatest pages that they have. This is a Labyrinth. And if you're unfamiliar with these, they use this a lot in meditation or relaxation, spirituality, things like that. So this one has just different words, and it goes all the way around, and of course the word you is in the center. So I can foresee myself doing either a pattern of colors or coloring each one a different color to add some color to it. And then what you do with this is you kind of can use it for meditation, and it's just a finger labyrinth where you just use your finger and you walk around, is how I've seen these done before. So again, a place to put some color, and also a place to really just kind of like calm down and relax and focus. Then here's this page where you're supposed to put your information, which I think is really unnecessary. I don't think people really use that anymore. Again, a nice quote. And then you have the preface. Now here is where I think they're going to lose a lot of people, because the preface and the first page, 29 pages in fact, 29 are going to be instructional pages. So right off the bat, you can see this is going to be a very, very detailed planner. I have read all the pages. I do think that they have a lot of valuable information in there, but I think that most people are going to just skip right over those. So here's the preface, 90-day adventure, what you can expect, why they created it, etc. This is going to be one of their icons that they use throughout the book, which I really like. And here's setting the foundation. And this is, again, where they're going to differ from a lot of other companies out there, because they actually, instead of starting like what your goals are, they actually focus on how you feel about yourself and how you think, because in their minds, it doesn't matter what you accomplish or what goals you have and, you know, all these awesome aspirations. If you don't feel good about yourself and you're not connected with yourself, then it's not going to matter. So that's just talks about success and how it can be used, you know, your different goals and things like that. So here's going to be where you, the touchy-feely questions, where you figure out and nail down exactly what do you value, who you aspire to be, what are your passions. If nothing was an issue, what would you love to do with your living? What's your dream job? When do you feel most like yourself? What are your top 3 strengths? What do others admire about you? What are you holding yourself back from? I think this question, I don't know if we can always answer that. I think sometimes we don't know how we're holding ourselves back. So that's a kind of a tricky question, I think. And then what unique do you have to share with other people? This is another great page. If you're an artistic type, creative type, I think this would be great for you to actually draw out some of these things around the quote. And then it talks about the power of your thoughts. And again, it just talks about how your thoughts can affect your feelings, and then that influences your actions, and then that's when it leads to results. So in their mind, you first have to control your thoughts. You know, you don't try something new because you are fearful of it, or you tell yourself that you can't do it, just those types of things. So no matter how hard you try to make changes in your life, if you have negative thought patterns, you are not going to be successful. So this just helps you go through some situations, and if you're having some negative thoughts about it, how to reframe that and to turn it into just a different spin and a positive way of thinking about that. So I really like that. Then this page right here is bucket list, which we've all seen before. And how this, again, they have a different philosophy. How they think about a bucket list is a lot of times we think about, I'm going to climb a mountain or run a marathon or learn a new language, or just all these different things that we accomplish, which are all great. But they say that even more importantly than your outer goals are your inner goals. Because if you don't have, again, back to if you don't feel good about yourself, then you are not going to accomplish something. So they say that the inner goals are even more important than your outer goals, which I really like that distinction. And I also like that this looks like an actual bucket, that shape. And then it's got the dividing line, and so you can put the inner and the outer goals together. I really, really love this visual. Then it talks about your vision. And we've all heard of this before, you know, visualizing your success. I think especially it's more prevalent in the athletic field, where you envision yourself coming in first or crossing the finish line or whatever it is. You know, the majority, like it says 99%, use mental imagery. So you can use that same process to accomplish your goals as well. And then it says in here that Craig Townsend, who is a Mind Over Matter director, says that you should visualize 5 minutes a day, and also to, when you are visualizing, you actually visualize in the present tense. It's very important to watch the verbiage that you say to yourself. So here you go through the steps. In a perfect world, what would you like to feel? What would you like to do? Experiences, things like that. Where do you want to live? Your strengths and values and qualities, just things like that. So you're just kind of brainstorming your vision is what it says. And then here you write it out. I think this page right here could have been left blank for those type of people who like to actually draw things out instead of write it. But again, it's good in theory. And then you use this to start coming up with your goals. Then it goes through the power of choices, and essentially it just boils down to whether you accomplish your goals or not is how the choices that you make and how you're spending your time. So this is going to be a great time tracker. So if you are unclear about whether or not to do something, you just ask yourself, will this get in the way of my top priority or my top goal? So here's the exercise: is you put your goal in the middle, and within the gray section around the star, you write down all the things that you are doing or that you need to do to accomplish the goal. And then on the outside circle is all those other things, your mundane tasks, your social life, all that kind of thing. You write that down there, and then you evaluate everything. Can something be removed? What is getting in the way, etc. I do really like this visual. In fact, I love it. But I do wish that they gave us more. They only give you one. So I think because we all have a tendency to, or want or need to have more than one goal, I think that they should have included a lot more pages for that. Then they also, right here for the bonus section, they have a 2-week challenge where you track your time, and then you just go on their website and you can down there, it's called the Free Guide to Essential Living. And so it'll walk you through those steps if you want more information on that. So here's some goal setting tips. And we've all seen or heard a lot of these, you know, break it down into tasks and things like that. Limit your goals, because you want to be able to focus on something and get that done instead of like multitasking and just not accomplishing anything. Then they talk about how you should, every single day, you go back and look at your weekly planner, and then that's how you come up with your next day's goals. And you should do it the night before. And figure out what your distractions are and what is getting in your way. Arrange specific times. You know, we all have to check email and things like that, but setting boundaries. Quiet time for yourself. Like I mentioned, no multitasking. Schedule your goals with a time, and then have both the inner and the outer goals. And then this just talks about how the planner works, which I'll go through those pages with you as well. So the daily planner, very detailed. It's a 2-page spread. So because this is undated, you're going to, of course, have to put in the date. And I do like that you can start it whenever. Like, you don't have to start it at the first of the month. Then your appointment schedule, which we've all seen, but it talks in here about not only just your actual appointments, but you schedule your time for working out, or your quiet time, or your time with friends and family, things like that. Because if you write it down, you're actually more likely to get it done. Then it has a today's intention, which is right up here. I'll show you in just a moment. And this is more for internal goals. And it's more of like, you've heard of affirmations. It's going to be something like that. Something that you're going to say to yourself and what you want to be like for that day. Then you have an on your mind section, which didn't really make sense to me at first, because why would you write down things that are on your mind on a daily page? That seems more of like a brainstorming or a brain dump type of thing, where you would want that in a list. But it says to do that because if something keeps coming up or you keep thinking about it, then you'll know that it should become important to you. But again, with the whole daily thing, I don't know, you might think of something for 2 weeks, but then it drops off. I don't necessarily want to keep writing that over and over again, but that's what they think. So then you prioritize your goals with high, medium, or low. You have a daily challenge, and they have an example of one that, or then you can, or I guess you could do two. You could come up with your own, and then you have an evaluation if you got any results from that. It has a gratitude section, weekly goal reminder. Again, you always go back and refer to your monthly and your weekly goals to help you with your daily goals. There's a daily check-in with reflection questions, self-assessment, and this just, they say to go a little bit deeper. I didn't really understand the difference between the daily check-in and the self-assessment, but the self-assessment is just to go a little bit deeper, how you really, really feel about just the quality of what's going on with your day. Staying on track gives you some inspirational words that changes from every single day. They're not super mind-blowing, but they are a good little reminder. And then there's some unfinished items. And again, I'm not sure that why they have that there, because if you have unfinished items, I don't necessarily want to, I've written it down on my schedule or my goals, then I have to write it on the unfinished item and then I move it towards the next day. That seems pretty redundant. The weekly check-in helps you reflect on your weekly progress. So obviously that's going to be at the end of every 7 days. So again, they have a little bit different way of thinking with being present. They have the body, mind, and spirit connection, which I really like. And then they have 8 different categories, and each one has a little check mark on it. And obviously you're not going to be able to check off every single one, but the goal is to just have a very, more balanced life. And so that's their intention with that. And then the power of your thoughts, it just has this visual here that really it needs to start with your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and then actions lead to results. And so that's why they really, really strongly start with how you're thinking and feeling about yourself. They have a weekly progress check-in, a weekly quote, which changes every week, which I like. Then you write down your accomplishments and challenges, your monthly goal reminder. So your monthly goal reminder will be on your weekly, and then on your daily will be your weekly reminder. Then you have unfinished items, and then you have a self-assessment. So I don't mind the unfinished items on a weekly. I don't know if I don't want to write those down every day. Here's a support sheet snapshot. Overall vision for your life, how you want to feel every day, personal and professional goals in the next 90 days, daily actions that will help you stay present and connected, your greatest strengths, biggest challenges, overcoming the challenges, what your plan is, your support team, 1 year and 5 year goals. Whew, that is a lot to have on one page, but I guess you're just not supposed to be overly detailed since this is 90 days. Then you have brainstorming your goals. You have 12 different sections, so 6 on each page. I'm sure that's going to be 1 for each week in this 90 days. Then you go into weekly and monthly goals, so you have 3 pages for each, 1 for each month. So here's month 1, and then you have 5 weeks. Some weeks, obviously, you're going to have 4, some are going to have 5, but you have a section for, this is the monthly on the top, and then for each week on the bottom. So there's your 3 pages. And then you finally get to some of the actual planning pages, for your schedule. This is how they have their monthly calendar. Super duper small. Even with my really small handwriting, I don't know. I think this needs to be a month on 2-page spread, because especially if you're trying to write out tasks or something that you want to do for each single day, I think you're just not going to have enough room. So you just write down obviously the name of the month, your aspirations for the next 30 days, and then it's got a nice visual over here where you have your outer goals in these circles, and then your inner goals you just write down here under the tree, I guess, thinking that it's the foundation possibly. I think again these circles are a little bit too small. You're going to have to write maybe 1 or 2 words in it, but nice quote there up at the top. And then you actually start on your daily pages. So I just talked about those. Here's where you put your intention, which is like your affirmation. You have high, medium, and low prioritization of your goals. Low they call tasks and errands. I don't know. Some of my tasks and errands are pretty important. If I don't get those done, then we're going to be in a world of trouble. But then it goes from 5 in the morning till 9:30 p.m. I really like that timeline. I think it could have been improved just a little bit by going to 10 or 10:30. I don't know if how many people stop their night at 9:30. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But it is in 30-minute increments. I do like that it does have that level of detail on it. So here's your on my mind section. Again, I think that's a little bit redundant. I wouldn't want to put what's on my mind every single day, especially if it's, the same for several weeks in a row. Here's the daily challenge. The first one is shut off your electronics when you're out socially with friends and family. So you can do your own challenge or just do one or the other and then have what your result is. Here's your gratitude section. So there are 5 lines. So if you want to, like I do, want to do 5 a day. So there's not a ton of room. Here's your weekly goal reminder, a lot of room there. Daily check-in. Did you accomplish all your goals today? What are you going to do differently tomorrow? What are your actions in alignment with who you aspire to be? So that's the daily check-in. And then here's your self-assessment when you go into more detail. Staying on track, always do your best. I mean, right? It's not mind-blowing. So it's a nice little reminder, and then here's your unfinished items, which I don't think I've used that section at all. So of course it's going to go 7 pages. And then here's going to be your weekly check-in. So here's that being present section that I talked about, your spirit, mind, and body. The 8 sections are learning, family and friends, work, health, fun, goals, nature, and spirituality. So in which areas of your life were you feeling connected in a meaningful way? So it doesn't necessarily need to take a whole bunch of time, but just are you doing okay in that area, and you would just check those off. Here's that visual. Were you able to keep your thoughts positive this week? So that's the main thing. If you can keep your thoughts positive, then you're more likely going to have success. Here's your weekly progress check-in. Did you accomplish all of your goals this week? If not, what got in the way? In whatever areas of your life do you wish you had spent more or less time? Did your weekly efforts keep you on track to reach your monthly goals? Were your actions productive? What will you do differently next week? And then here's the quote, which changes every week. Top 5 accomplishments, top 5 challenges, monthly goal reminder, unfinished items, and then here's your self-assessment. How do you feel about the progress you made? What obstacles did you encounter inside yourself, which is a huge distinction there, and what thoughts do you need to change right now to stay on track with your goals for the next week? So this will all stay the same except for the quote at the bottom. So of course, here's week 1. I do like that they have the weeks labeled, and then each day is going to be labeled as well with what number it is. So that of course is going to go through 30 days. So here's your 30 days, and then it's going to start again on the 2nd month. Same thing throughout the planner. And then at the very end, let's get to the back here. It kind of ends abruptly, I would think. So here's your 90 days. And then congratulations, you finished. And then it goes through some questions. How do you feel about your efforts over the last 90 days? What did you learn about yourself? What are the greatest insights you've gained over the past 90 days? What will you do differently in the next 90 days? What is your greatest area of strength? What do you need to work on the most? So then, of course, you're ready for the next 90 days. I don't know. I think this is so intense for me and so much detail. I feel like if and when I do this 90-day thing, I'm going to have to take a little breather after this. And I know that they try and focus a lot on the positive, but I really can see this planner being really effective as well for if you're struggling with a bad habit that you're trying to change, or an addiction even. I don't know why my mind keeps going there, because I don't have an addiction, but we all have some really bad habits that we need to change. So I think it could be used for positive or negative. I think it'd be really helpful for that. But yeah, this is a lot of detail, even for me, a very detailed person. So my overall feeling on this, well, first of all, let me say that in their company, they recommend using the 90-day goal planner with their regular life planner, the life coach planner, whatever they call it, the 6 month or the year. So of course they're trying to sell more things. I don't know. I think for me, that's just way, way too much detail. I can only focus on so much at a time. So for me, I was not overly impressed with their weekly planners. I would prefer this one by far. Plus the other ones were dated. So I just, if I can't use a planner and use it every single day and it's dated, I feel like that's a waste. Whereas this one, I can jump in and out of it as I want to. So I like that a lot. So my opinion about this, terrible quality. The paper, I don't know if I mentioned, but it's just your normal, you know, run-of-the-mill printer paper. I don't have high hopes for pens not bleeding through. I think you're going to have a hard time finding a pen. I would just probably use a ballpoint pen in this one. So really poor quality. Obviously, there is a ton of detail in here. So I feel like they're really focusing on people who are very, very serious and focused, lots and lots of detail. I think this is a very expensive option for a planner. However, if you do want to actually hire or have a life coach type of situation going on in your life, this probably is a very inexpensive option because life coaches can be very expensive. So it kind of just depends on what your thinking is and what your mentality is going into this. But for me, yes, I do think it's very expensive and very poor quality. So that is my review in a nutshell. I know this is very long. All of these are very long just because I wanted to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly and how I would possibly use it. But I do have some very specific habits that I want to change, that's what I will be using this for. Will it be my daily, everyday scheduler, my workhorse? No, but I do want to use this for some goals that I have coming up. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I have one more review on the top-down planner. So thank you as usual for watching, and I will talk to you soon.